I gotcha.
Good morning, everyone. And welcome to our October Women in Business Networking meeting. I want to thank you all for being here this morning. I'm looking forward to hearing from our speaker, but just a couple of things I wanted to remind everyone of. I know we all survived Bike Fest this past weekend. It was a pretty amazing weekend. I had a hotel full of guests that had not ever been to Colonial Beach before. There's about 5 of them out of 21 rooms. So that was pretty cool. Had a lot of great conversations with people who loved the town, want to come back, and really enjoyed themselves. We had lovely weather, thank you, and it was just nice to see our town full of people and businesses being busy. So that's always a good thing. But anyway, it's nice to see that going into fall. November and December, we have a lot of work to do to bring people in. It's going to be a busy time of year again, and we've got some exciting events happening in the months of November and December. We've got the home tours that the museum will be having again this year. We will have tickets up on sale here by this weekend, and we'll be doing the trolley on Saturday, both tours, and then Sunday it will be drive and golf cart tours. And then we plan to have a cocktail reception event that Sunday evening. So looking forward to a fun time. And that's the museum's one time a year fundraiser. I know BAM is doing something the weekend before with the new art center that's going to be opening up across from Orchid Tide, kind of on the corner of Washington and Hawthorne. So that's going to be a new business that we'll have opening. I know some of you may have attended the opening of Love Bites, which used to be where the old Buzz was. They closed for a week because the owner had a grandbaby. And she's back open again, so if you can, please stop in, say hello to her. She's lovely, and forgive me, I forgot her name, but they're a great family. Renee. So I'm happy to have them as an addition to town. Magnolia, some of you may have already been shopping. It's a great little shop. It's between the Unan and Daycare Center there in Washington. It's a great shop and very much a compliment to Hawthorne Mercantile. So we've got a couple of new shops in town. Our restaurants, don't forget them during the fall and winter season. Hours change, but they also need everyone to stop in and say hello. Think about partnering on your marketing. I know a lot of you, and myself included, going into the fall season, things change, but there's a lot of opportunities there to pull people in, and we look forward to working with our other partners. Our November meeting, I am working on our speaker. She hasn't fully committed yet, but I will let everyone know as soon as we get that confirmed. And in December, we plan to do a holiday dinner, and we're working on that. We'll get that out to everyone too. So it won't be a meeting, it'll just be getting together.
We have a fall festival coming up.
That's right.
On the 26th, and there's a pet parade that I'm sponsoring, so I'm pushing that out to try to get more people and kids from just our outlying area to come to our fall festival.
So,
And if anybody wants to promote these in their business, that would be wonderful.
okay, so the fall festival, we have flyers. We're happy to share, so you can get that out to everyone. I know the trunk or treat will be at the high school parking lot, October 26th, also from 4 to 6. And that's being sponsored by the fire department. I've done that the last few years, and I have to say it's amazing. We sold, or not sold, but gave out about 450 bags of candy, and there were still more kids. So it's a fun time. We also have Oktoberfest that will be hosted here at Ice House. Denson's has the oysters, which everyone loves a good Denson meal.
$5 for movies.
And $5 for movies is the next day, and that's a huge fundraiser for women and men who have struggled with breast cancer. So again, encourage everyone to participate and support our local businesses. And if you see it hit your Facebook page, share and like, and get it out there to everyone else so that they can share and like. So what an amazing resume and bio you have. I found it just a tad bit intimidating with all of your accomplishments, but I have to say I'm amazed at her background. She's worked on Wall Street, She had active duty in the Army as a logistics specialist. She has a law degree. She has traveled. She has worked for the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in California. And why would you come to Colonial Beach? No, I'm thrilled she's here. I'm teasing, truly. But amazed at all of your accomplishments. And I've gotten to know Natasha a little bit over the last year, and I want to say what an amazing woman. And thank you for taking this role and being a part of our community. So with that, Natasha, it's all you. Yeah, I will take your coffee, I promise.
And I'm going to set my timer so that I am mindful of everyone's time. Good morning, everyone. It is so amazing to see such a wonderful group of women here on this brisk morning. So my favorite season is the fall, and I love the change of weather. I can't wait for the leaves to start changing. So Kelly started to go into a little bit of my resume, and what she mentioned was that it was a bit intimidating. I really don't like that. I have worked in a lot of male-dominated spaces. And so I said the title of my little speech to you all this morning, I told Kelly, is that it just came to me as we were talking, is woman, you will. Because all my life, I have always worked in male-dominated spaces. The military, Wall Street, discount stockbroker after that, law, anything that I was remotely interested in was male-dominated. There were very few women in those spaces, and even fewer women of color. So when I started my career, I thought I had to be like one of the guys, you know, I had to be macho, I had to show everybody what I knew, I had to show how smart I was, that I belonged there. Because I felt, when I walked in the room, those male eyes looked at me as if to say, well, what is she doing here? And I like fashion, I like makeup, I like to do my hair, I like to change my hair, and I felt really, really constricted in those spaces and really showing up as my authentic self. And so I remember on Wall Street, I love bright colors because I'm a Caribbean girl, I'm an island girl, I love colors, I love patterns, I love texture. And I felt myself being confined to black, navy blue, and gray. Nothing wrong with black, navy blue, and gray, but when I donned that uniform, it's as if my creativity went out the door, anything I wanted to say went out the door. I felt as if I had this lead suit on. And then I remember going to, we had these fireside chats that they would have. And I remember this woman, she had risen to, what was her managing director of one of the investment banking firms in New York. She told a little bit about her story. She was from Florida. I grew up in Miami, she grew up in Jacksonville. And she talked about how you can cultivate a place for yourself within these male-dominated spaces. And afterwards I went in and I spoke with her and I said, well, you know, not to sound, you know, vain, but I like to dress up. And she said, well, I understand that, but in these places, you have to show up a certain way in order to be taken seriously. You have to speak a certain way in order to be taken seriously. So she said, you know, nobody's gonna know what you're wearing under your suit, so you can be as creative as you want underneath. And I thought, yeah, but that doesn't quite really satisfy me. So I left Wall Street, I went to law school. First, I went to Nova, and I obtained my master's degree in MBA, and then I went to law school. In law school, I was trying to determine, well, what is it that I want to do with this law degree? I knew that I've always had a heart to help people. And mentioning what Kelly said about my intimidating resume, I didn't want to be seen as intimidating. I'm just a regular girl who likes coffee, who likes clothes, who likes makeup, all of the things that we as women sometimes are told that we shouldn't like, right? That we should put those things aside in order to be seen as serious. So in law school, I had an internship at the United Nations, and I absolutely loved that internship. And in meeting so many people from around the world and networking and communicating with different women, and when we would talk amongst ourselves, we all had some of these same issues that we were trying to grapple with. How do we show up as our authentic selves and still do a great job? How do we incorporate all of the things that we love and we bring that into a space in which we can help and bring the diverse voice that we all have? In undergrad, I majored in speech and theater because I wanted to act. My parents were having none of that. They said, what kind of living are you gonna have make with a speech and theater degree? What? So for those of you who don't know, in a Caribbean household, there are very few careers that are acceptable.
Amen.
Law, doctor, engineer, they'll let you get away with accountant or teaching, but those are the three: law, medicine, and engineer. So I was ushered into the realm of law. Okay, I became a lawyer. Now, how do I show up as Natasha with this law degree and my desire to help people, right? So I was just really, really very fortunate and blessed to have met a lot of wonderful women at the UN who just said, just be yourself. If somebody doesn't like it, they're not gonna like it if you're not yourself either, and you're just gonna burn yourself out. So, I tried it. Guess what? It worked. When I worked on Wall Street, I felt as if I was a walking resume. Everybody I met, they wanted to know what school I'd gone to, what were my grades, what were my plans for the future, as if I had the cure for cancer. And I'm like, no, I'm just a kid trying to figure it out, you know? And so when I started in municipal government, again, a space dominated by men. All of the echelons of leadership were dominated by men. And I can tell you that I didn't have this grand desire to, I'm going to be a city manager or a town manager. That wasn't my thought at all. I simply knew I wanted to serve, and I thought, where best to start than in my own community. So I started as a purchasing agent in Delray Beach, Florida. Because of my law background, I could help with the negotiations, with drafting and reviewing contracts, and folks started to see me, and next thing you know, I was rising through the ranks, and I would tell my little corny jokes, and I started dressing like I wanted, I started wearing my hair like I wanted. I wanted to experiment with a lot of different colors, but I never quite got that bold. And I was just doing great work. People saw it, and I started to just get promoted. And had I not spoken with those women at the UN, I don't think I ever would have had the courage to really be myself. Now I'm not saying that you can show up working cut-off jeans and slogan t-shirts. That isn't what I'm saying at all. You can dress professionally and it reflects your personality. It reflects who you are, and it says who you are before you even open your mouth and you speak to folks. So when I told Kelly I wanted to speak this morning to you all about woman you will, that is a mantra that I have kept with me for a many number of years. When I was 9 years old, growing up in Miami, Florida, I was hit by an ice cream truck. Ice cream truck was coming through the neighborhood, and I ran after the ice cream truck, and I was hit by the ice cream truck. There was another car speeding through the neighborhood as I was trying to get my ice cream, and I was in a coma for 9 days. 9 days. My mother and dad told me that when I came out of the coma, I looked up and I said, "Where am I?" And my mom rushed to my bedside and she explained what happened, that I was going to get ice cream and I was hidden. I was in a coma for the past 9 days. I said, "Oh, well, where's my ice cream?" The doctors said that I would have brain damage because I was in a coma for 9 days. They said that I would have, my cognitive ability would be diminished, that I would have trouble speaking, I would have trouble writing, and I'm here to tell you none of that happened. Before the summer ended, I was back to normal. My family is deeply spiritual, so there was a lot of praying that went on in our house around that time. Although my mother may say, "Yeah, you're kooky, that's why you're crazy now, it's because you were hit by that car." But no cognitive decline. I can speak, as you all can tell, I can write. So none of those bad things happened. So, woman, you will, despite what any doctor tells you. If you go to the doctor and you have a bad diagnosis, perhaps they tell you that, hey, well, you've got fibroids, or you have cancer, or whatever other disease they put a name to. Woman, you will. You will rise above whatever disease that a doctor has told you that you've had. Whatever is your faith, hang on to that faith. And woman, you will. You know, as women, we have a lot of different roles that we play. Wife, mother, business women, and all of those different titles, they pull at us from every different direction. Some days, I don't know how I am going to accomplish everything I need to accomplish within that day. But then I remember, woman, you will. Make a list. Prioritize that list. What is the most important? I've learned to prioritize my list, but if it bleeds, it leads. So, what's the most important? You may have to rearrange that list throughout the day, but you can accomplish everything on your list. I'm often asked, well, Natasha, how do you balance your life with everything that you do? And my answer is, not so great. What is balance? I don't know what that is. I just know that there are things that I need to do, and I do it all until my eyes close. That's not a very good way to be, and I am trying to learn how to be more mindful and looking at the clock and saying, okay, this is my stopping time. So I want to say to each and every one of you, woman, you will. We're creative. We carry children in our wombs for 9 months. We birth those children. Some women strap that child on their backs or on their bosoms and they return to work almost immediately. There isn't anything that we as women cannot do if we put our minds to it. When I look out here, just the various businesses that you all represent and the different backgrounds that you all come from, and I'm sure you all each have just hurdles that you've had to overcome, just unspeakable heartache, pain, and loss that you've had to work through. And I'm sure you all weren't thinking in your minds, I need to do this, I must do this, or I will do this. But there is something instinctively in us as women that does not let us give up. I don't think we as women know how to give up. We do what needs to be done. If we don't have the resources, we find a way to make it happen. If we don't have the funds, we find a way to make it happen. Our most, I think, valuable trait as women is our ability to be nurturing. I know a lot of women think that they're not nurturing, and for a very, very long time, I didn't think I was very nurturing, but that looks different for every woman. A woman can show her nurturing side in just sitting with you and listening to what you have to say. Another woman can show her nurturing side by hugging you, letting you cry on her shoulders. Another woman can show her nurturing side by cooking you a hot meal because she knows you've worked all day and you don't have the time. Another woman can pick up your kid from school. So there are different ways in which that nurturing side of us shows through. So I say embrace all that you are as women, because it wasn't until I let go of my idea of what it meant to be a successful woman, my idea of what it meant to go up against the guys, is when I really felt that I flourished. Because I wasn't concerned about an image that I had to portray, I was myself. I remember back then, I felt as if I had to speak all the time. Any environment I was in, I had to speak, I have to show them what I know. They need to know what I know. If I'm not talking, then they don't know what I know. But now, I will sit and I will listen. And that's something that we all don't do enough of, because we want everyone to know what we know, how smart we are. We don't listen. And that's where we can solve problems. We're problem solvers, all of us. So when we listen, we can hear the problem that the person speaking to us is trying to articulate. Oftentimes, it doesn't come out in, the problem I have is X. It's more of a narrative. They tell you a story, and within that story, you pull out the problem. And so sometimes people say to me, Natasha, why don't you speak up enough? Why don't you? Yeah, my superpower isn't listening. And so I'm gonna listen, and I don't care what you think because I'm listening. But you're really glad when I've solved your problem, aren't you? So woman, you will. Just anything it is that you want to do. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, if you have a degree, if you don't have a degree, none of that matters. All you need is the thought that you want to do something, and you can do it. I remember, and my mother and I didn't have the best relationship growing up because she was extremely strict. Strict island mother. You could do no wrong. If I brought home a grade of, say, 98%, and I only missed 2%, she would say to me, what happened to the other 2%? Were there no extra credit points that you could have gotten? So, but I remember beginning my career, Wall Street, just wanting to be successful and make my family proud. And I would call home and I would just say, oh man, this is so hard. And I have to learn this and I have to study for the Series 7. They should have told me that before they gave me the job. I would have turned it down. And my mother would listen and she said, "You finished? Okay, now stop. Go study for that book because you can pass that Series 7. Whatever they want you to learn, you can learn it." Because my mother is a Haitian immigrant. She came to the States in early 70s. And my mother loves to tell me this story. Whenever I tell her how hard I think something is for me, she says, when I came into this country, I didn't speak the language. Nobody knew where Haiti was on the map, and if they did, they didn't have anything good to say about us. So much has changed, right?
Yeah.
And she says she went to school at night for nursing. She didn't know the language, yet she is learning medical terms in a language that is not her mother tongue. That was hard, but I did it. You never heard me complain. And so whenever I think things are hard and I can't do something, I think about my mother. And I think about how she went to nursing school and she was learning English and science at the same time, but yet she did it while she had my father and 2 kids, and she had to provide for other family members back on the island. So again, I say, woman, you will. Thank you.
So I have to say, intimidating may have not been the right word. More amazed and not sure the right word, but
Fangirling.
yeah. Just at all your accomplishments and looking at that, if I had never met you, I guess maybe it would be a little intimidating because, you know, all of us build stories in our mind when we look at things and we read stuff and you build that in your mind and then you meet the person. And I can say, growing up in corporate world, for years I would talk to people on the phone, email, they would come into the office for a meeting and it's like, don't look anything like what I thought you looked like. But amazed and really appreciative of all the things you have. And while you were talking about Woman You Will, I was thinking about each one of you in this room. I know some of you a lot more than I do others, but I could tell a story of probably for each of you as to all of the accomplishments that you have done in your lifetime, and we do. And thank you so much for your time today. Does anyone have any questions or want to ask Natasha anything?
I just want to say, if the doctors were right, then you would be president of the United States. If you could speak better.
Yeah, if you could speak better or write better than you do now, I mean, the doctors were obviously wrong, but if they were right, oh my God.
Anyone else? Anyone you want to share about a Woman You Will story, maybe of themselves? I can say this woman, Miss Amy. I met her because she reached out to me asking about using the inn for a short clip movie. It didn't quite work out, but I met this incredible woman and heard her story and breaking into independent films, and it's amazing. She has done a short film, I think, 2 seasons now, using the high school or the school system here at Colonial Beach, and breaking into the modeling world as I'm gonna say this probably wrong, but as a plus size model, correct? And I'm sure that was very difficult because everyone knows that models were to be this big around. And it's amazing the accomplishments that you have done in your life. All of you, I have great respect for all of you, and we have such a wonderful community, and I'm so thrilled that you're a part of that.
Thank you.
So thank you. You all have a wonderful day.